Bună ziua tuturor! Bine ați venit! Numele meu e Liviu Papadima. O să vă rog să stabilim întâi de toate o chestiune de ordin lingvistic. O să vorbim în engleză. E ok pentru toată lumea? So we'll speak English, starting from now. Okay. Welcome to this meeting, to this debate. This is the second debate in the series inaugurated last year, in last academic year, in spring, regarding the difficulties, the dilemmata of Europe at present time. And we are now very glad to dedicate this meeting to you, to the students, to the international students coming from abroad, to our university, to the Romanian students who have traveled to other universities in Europe or throughout the world, and to the Romanian students of our university who think about this possibility. Let me please introduce the panel here. In charge, Professor Mircea Dumitru, Rector of the University of Bucharest. He will moderate our meeting. Radu Comănescu, member of the Association Proiect Europa Unită, Project United Europe. This association is a co-participant in organizing these meetings. And on behalf of the students, I think Bogdan Stoica, is that correct? President or leader of the Erasmus Students Association of the University in Bucharest. And myself, Liviu Papadima. I now pass the floor to Professor Mircea Dumitru, who, as I said, will moderate this meeting.
Thank you very much, Professor Papadima, and if it's okay, I'm going to sit, because it will be a 2-hour discussion. So, first of all, on behalf of all my colleagues in the Rectorate of the University of Bucharest, welcome to all of you. It's a very pleasant feeling that I have looking at you. In the morning, we had a meeting of the Senate of the University in the very same room, and in those chairs, there were sitting some professors, well-established professors of this university. Anyhow, I am very happy to see young people now here, young faces. It's not only that it's our main duty to work with young generation. It's our duty is to educate and to make you part of this academic community, to train you as future scholars, researchers, specialists in all the fields that we cover in this university. It's also the fact that the University of Bucharest, and in general universities nowadays, have this vocation to build larger communities. And it's a great pleasure for me to acknowledge the fact that in recent years at this university, we could host students coming from many countries in Europe and also from countries which are not part of Europe, from non-EU countries. There are several reasons which are very important for a university, for a modern university, which should be emphasized when we speak about international programs and international students. First of all, for universities as organizations, it's very important to develop this international side of their activities, because, you know, and this is a sort of analogy, the same as we say for scholars, publish or perish, which means that if a true scholar does not publish on a regular basis in good journals, then he or she, the scholar, is not going to be acknowledged, to be recognized as an important contributor to the whole academic community. Well, the same thing, mutatis mutandis, applies to institutions, to organizations, but instead of publish or perish, for institutions as such, for universities, becoming more visible internationally or actually being forgotten by all the academic community. So becoming more and more involved in international relations is a must nowadays. It's not something that we do just for, I don't know, making a big fuss on us. We know that unless we develop those international ties, unless we have more and more international students in our programs, we are going to be perceived by the international community as a more local university, which does not have many things to contribute to the international community of research and education. So based on those facts, which we are very much aware of nowadays, in the last couple of years or so, we opened very much those programs, especially the Erasmus Plus programs, but not only those programs, also programs that we have directly with non-EU countries in Africa or in Asia. And we have now a growing community of international students, roughly 1,000 students who are now enrolled at the University of Bucharest for different programs and doing classes and doing research for different time periods. If we think in terms of numbers, 1,000 students at roughly 32,000 students, the student population of the University of Bucharest is not much. We would like to have more, but I know that there are some obstacles to developing this activity. And I've noticed in the program that some of you that are going to contribute to this discussion are going to address this issue of the problems, of the difficulties, of the obstacles that you face institution-wise and also on a more personal and psychological level when you get involved into being students in a foreign university. We know that in order to have strong and reliable programs for international students, we have to develop our curriculum in English or in some other languages that are spoken. Maybe French is also a language of the students who are coming at this university based on the long tradition of Francophonie at the University of Bucharest. We also know that we have to develop the logistic aspects of the student life, like the dormitories, which are not in very good standing nowadays, and we face some real issues, some real problems. We are very well aware of that, and we try to, well, to solve at least some of the problems which are now issues that are debated even in the media. And we also need another sort of mentality, especially on behalf of our senior professors. When I looked at the title Student in Europe, I was thinking that at least people in my generation and even people older than me are still thinking in terms of we are here in Romania and they are there in Europe. You know, I mean, when we use this kind of quantifier, I am a professor of logic, and in Europe can be seen as a quantifier phrase. So when we are using in Europe, that is not actually us. In Europe are they, over there. But as a matter of fact, we are all in Europe now. So student in Europe, when we speak about a European university, is like a tautology, because everyone here, I suppose, except for students coming from non-EU country, everywhere is in Europe. So we don't have to think in terms of us versus them. We have to think in terms of how we can contribute to strengthening the cultural diversity of higher education in Europe, how it can contribute actually to establishing this kind of new citizenship, European citizenship. And for sure, that's a task for your generation. If we think in terms of psychological adaptation to new realities, for sure you are better off and much better than people in my generation or even people older than myself. I've noticed that there is a diversity of topics that you want to address, and since I don't know whether or not each of you has this schedule in front of your eyes, let me just mention briefly the panelists, the students who accepted to deliver short presentations and actually to share with us their experience of being students at the University of Bucharest. So we have from Spain, Vila Escuza Miguel Angel. You are here? No? From Romania, Alexandru Dănescu. No? Oh, bad luck. Again from Romania, Andra Buruiana. Yes. Yeah, you are over there. Okay. Then from Azerbaijan, Sadiq Jafar or Jafar. No. From Cameroon, Pamastin Vubangsi. Over there. Thank you, sir. Then from Romania, Yanaki Alina. Okay. From Iran, Talayan Bardia. Hi, over there. Negoiță Diana, Romania. Okay. Kachatrian Svetlana, Armenia. Okore, let me see, Ogenefejiro, Nigeria. Yeah? Is that okay? Did I say it correctly? Okay. And last but not least, Gomez Teresa from Spain. Okay. Now, everyone is invited to contribute. So if you have things to say, short comments, interventions, questions, clarifications, criticism, everything is most welcome to this discussion. And of course, I would also like to acknowledge myself the presence of one of our students, Bogdan Stoica, who is the acting president of this organization, Erasmus Student Organization, which I know that they have been doing wonderful work, especially in connection with welcoming international students who, when they come here, of course, they experience, first of all, a sort of cultural shock. That's quite natural, quite normal when you go to another country in the beginning to have some difficulties in adjusting to the way of life in that country. I hope that for the international students at the University of Bucharest, that period is very short, and I do believe that especially the students who are working in this Erasmus network are very, very good at trying hard and succeeding in making the international students feel okay, feel good in Bucharest. Okay, so that being said, allow me to thank the main organizers of this event. So in connection with the University of Bucharest, who is very interested in this kind of events with our students, I'd like to thank Radu Comănescu, who has been working for many years as a journalist at Radio Romania, and he actually is, as Professor Papadima mentioned, for the second time in this capacity as an organizer of events, which aim at this desideratum that we all have, to live in a united Europe, in a Europe that we share, we cherish, we love, we criticize, but we'd like to be our home for the rest of our lives, as it were. Anyhow, in the future for a long, long time from now on. So I guess we can move on, and Mr. Bogdan Stoica will also address you with some opening remarks, and afterwards we can start our discussion with the interventions coming from your part.
Hello. First of all, I want to say that I am very grateful for being here and representing both the Romanian students involved in breaking the barriers of the intercultural exchanges, and also on the side of the Erasmus people that came to Bucharest, Romania as Erasmus Plus students. I think Professor Mircea Dumitru already emphasized a lot of the points that I was going to have in my speech. So I'm going to talk more about the Erasmus Student Network Association and what is our objective and causes, and what we actually do on a local level for the Erasmus students here in Bucharest. So the Erasmus Student Network, as an association, first appeared in the Netherlands in 1989, 2 years after the Erasmus Plus project was first created by the European Union. And 4 years later, it already had 40 ESN sections all around Europe. Right now, in Europe, we have over 15,000 active volunteers. And our main objectives, causes, are culture, youth and education, skills and employability, social inclusion, health and well-being, and many others. So, as a local organization, our main activity is split in two. One is focused on the Erasmus incoming students, because if I might say, we are trying to create a family with them, to make them feel as home. Because I know that being in another country might be hard, and it might be so scary at the beginning. This is why we try to reach them through the universities, our partners. Without, we could be almost nothing compared to what we do right now, so thank you a lot. We try to reach them and organize the welcome meeting, where we inform them about our activity and our cultural objectives in Bucharest, and projects, and so many other things. So this is about the Erasmus students. Also, we promote the Erasmus project between the Romanian students through the Erasmus Plus promoters. This is a project in partnership with the national agency. They are trained by highly experienced public speakers to go in universities and hold speeches about the Erasmus project and what it really means and what it's like being in a different country and why is it worth to go there. This is one of our main projects. The other one, and from my point of view maybe the greatest, is the B-Buddy program. It's about offering to most of the Erasmus students one Romanian friend, in which they can get in touch to ask the basic information when they first come to the host country. Of course, every cause that I said before, like youth and education, or culture, or health and well-being, like these are the thematics for a lot of different events held in Romania, also with the support of the universities and many other partners. So, as a general point of view, the Erasmus Student Network all around Europe tries to help the students from everywhere feel like home in the different country, trying to help them and, trying to break the intercultural barrier between countries, as Professor Mircea Dumitru said, because it's the 21st century, and I believe it's of a great deal of importance to acknowledge the fact that there is no one culture, there are a lot of cultures, and you have to understand each other and try to understand what it's like living in another place. Thank you very much for listening, and once again, I am very happy to be here.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Stoica, about your involvement and the involvement of your organization. And indeed, this is a very important point to highlight, especially for the ethos of our discussion. The fact that all the cultures are very important, and especially in a university, we have to emphasize the fact that we have to actually support the diversity of point of views and, of course, of the cultural heritage of each nation. So we are going to move slowly to the main part of our discussion, starting with the presentations of the students. Before that, two short interventions from Liviu Papadima and Radu Comănescu.
Thank you a lot. First of all, I want to thank myself to Mr. Bogdan Stoica and to Erasmus Student Network for the precious support we have got from them all the time when receiving students from abroad, especially for the body program, which worked marvelously in accommodating people coming from other cultures in our own culture, in helping them with the orientation they need, and so on and so forth. We as professors, we tend to see shifting from one university to another as a matter of curriculum, of courses which are being taught and so on and so forth. But behind that, there is something more important very often for the students is how they interact with local people, how do they manage to cope with their own problems, and these are also basic aspects which we tend to ignore, unfortunately. This is why the help of Erasmus Student Network is very valuable. I myself was on a teaching mission in the University of Amsterdam, and I received a phone call being asked to give some lectures one day for some Netherlands people coming, who are going to come to work for a while in Romania at ING Bank. I'm a teacher, I'm a professor of literature, and I asked, well, what should I present them? More cultural aspect, like most important authors in Romania or painters, or no, rather how they would manage to go to the doctor, or how will they interact with the people in the street, and so on and so forth. And I had to adapt myself to this new situation. We are here to discuss with you also these aspects which are vital for a good experience. I see over there a colleague of mine, yeah, Wana Barbu. Are you over there? Yeah, she's working for the Department of International Relations, and she recently accomplished a PhD thesis exactly on this topic, international students at the university in Bucharest. And the last part of the thesis, which is the most interesting, I think, is the fact that she tried to correlate two things. One of them is the so-called cultural intelligence, and the other one is the international experience. So surprisingly, or not surprisingly, they do correlate. Yeah, the more genuine international experience one has, the better the cultural intelligence of that person works, because the skill is trained. So we are waiting to hear from you, and I pass the floor to Radu Comănescu, good old friend and a colleague long time ago at the university.
A long time ago, Liviu, of course. Well, my name is Radu Comănescu. It is my pleasure to deliver you the welcoming speech on behalf of our association, Proiect Europa Unită, Project United Europe. As you already heard, both Professor Liviu Papadima and Professor Mircea Dumitru already told you that we are working together at a project which aims to analyze, to highlight, to understand European mentality, actual European history, and European future. Where are we going? Where are we coming from? Who are we, and where are we going? In order to answer this question, we must debate and understand. In this light, we were very interested to involve young people, because young people is of the future of Europe. And because there are changes, major changes regarding mentality. You are already acquiring another type of mentality that people from my generation, including this possibility to study abroad, anywhere in Europe, to come from foreign countries whenever you like to study in Romania, to be European, as Professor Miercuri very well said. And you are becoming something else, another kind of thinkers, of dreamers, and I like that. Every new generation has to give something new, a new hope, a new ideal, a new horizon. Therefore, I'm very, very glad to see you all here. I'm delighted, I must say. And let us start as quickly as possible. Professor Miercuri, please.
Thank you very much for your comments. So let me see if I got everything correctly. I have a list of names here. Let me check whether the people are or not here. So Vila Escuza Michael Angel is not here, right? Okay. The topic of his intervention would be foreign student challenges, obstacles, and borders. For sure, we are going to address that issue, even if this gentleman is not now here with us. Then Dănescu, Alexandru? No? The topic is Europe's diversity, the countries most commonly chosen as destinations. Buriana Andra? Okay, you are here. Miss Buriana Andra, why students want to go abroad or not? Okay, let's see.
First of all, I want to say that I was also an Erasmus student in Warsaw 1.5 years ago, and I still believe that it was one of the best choices that I ever made in my life. And I do think that every student that chooses to study abroad for a semester or 1 year, for example, thinks that he's blessed that he has this opportunity. Because first of all, there is the fact that when you discover other culture, you live another life. You just detach yourself from what you used to do in your country and try something new. Second of all, when you're away from your home, you discover more about yourself. You make a lot of changes and a lot of findings about who you are, because you don't have anymore someone who can support you whenever you are upset or lonely. You just have to manage everything from yourself, from your own. But this doesn't mean that you isolate yourself. That's just the opposite. You find in a foreign country, in a foreign university, students who share the same thing. Everyone wants to integrate there, and everyone wants to find friends. So all you have to do is to communicate with those who share the same thing as you, and make a new family. Not a family that replaces what you already have, but a family that fulfills what you miss.
Thank you, Miss Andra Buriana. So you studied in Warsaw, you said.
Yeah.
What field? You didn't mention that.
I studied psychology.
Psychology. And were there major differences between the curriculum there and the curriculum here at the University of Bucharest, or the methods that the professors are using?
I think that there are more practical things at University from Warsaw. We had more presentations to sustain than here. And the exams, I guess, no, in my opinion, were a little bit easier than here.
Yeah, it would be good if your experience could be shared not only with your colleagues, but also if you can pass that to your professors here, to say some things about your experiences as international students in Warsaw. So if you can send that message maybe through the meetings of the faculty, you know.
Yes, I might do that, but I sustain the educational system from Romania, so I don't think they should make a change. It's just every country has its own specific.
Yeah, indeed so. But in addition to that, you know, many years ago I was an international student. I studied for many years in the United States, and when I came back directly to the Faculty of Philosophy, where I am teaching right now, I could also give my own input. I mean, gradually I could actually convince people in the Department of Philosophy that some things could be done in different ways. So it's a matter of passing on the wisdom from one generation to another generation. It's not a matter of fighting or being polemical, but just on contributing to the development of your field. So you may think in those terms as well. Liviu Papadima?
May I also ask an open question, not necessarily to Mrs. Buruiana, about sharing this experience. We thought of, I used to be the vice rector in charge with international affairs, and we thought about the possibility of making the students to know what happened to their colleagues who went abroad. And do you find it inappropriate if we would ask our students, even if as an obligation, when they come back, to write a few lines to put them on the university side? Do you think it inappropriate?
Well, I guess what he means is to use the Facebook or a blog or something in which you communicate regularly with your fellow students. You don't have to think that the professors will be upset about that, I guess. I mean, I would enjoy tremendously if my students said to me, look, they are doing in this way or in that way philosophy and logic over there, so maybe you can also adjust a bit your classes. I mean, science is an international business now with local implications, but doing science, and you do science, I mean, psychology is a very important social science and humanistic science as well. And we have to take into account that there are diverse psychological schools or methods of doing things, and that will also improve how we do things at this university. Okay, so it's very important for you personally, for each and every of you, to have that experience, but it's also important for the experience of this university as well, to incorporate, okay, what you studied. And I mean, it's not like putting pressure on the students, but just creating that kind of environment in which we can speak in an open way about some things that we all value, you know, that's the idea. What do you think?
I consider that by the years that will pass, every generation will contribute to its university with their experience. So I guess it's just a matter of time that that our system will improve.
Okay, it's good to be optimistic. Yeah, good. So let's move on. Sadiq Jafar from Azerbaijan? No? Okay, I guess the following one is here, is present. Pamarstin Vobangzi from Cameroon? Okay.
Hello. I want to talk on the reason why students want to go abroad. Everyone is searching for growth. Africa is searching for growth. And the challenge to make the growth happen is what we seek for solution. So traveling abroad can be one of the solutions, because for you to overcome or achieve that growth, you need to acquire more knowledge on how to go about it. And one way of acquiring that knowledge is to develop yourself, self-development. So to develop yourself more better, you can study abroad in one of the best universities, not just a university, but one of the best, in order to get the appropriate knowledge so that you can acquire or achieve what you want. Now, when you study abroad, you have to build different skills. You understand different cultures, you meet new people, and most importantly, what you gain is the network you build, because there's nothing as greater as networking. So I believe more in networking, because you meet friends, and those friends could be your future business partners. They could be the one who are going to raise your investment. They can be your investors, because definitely us in Africa, we actually need investors, and we've analyzed our environment and we've discovered it, and that's why we're here to study, so that we can actually go back and solve back our problems back at home in relation to businesses and investments. So studying abroad is quite good, and also it helps you to be able to incorporate the cultural activities and international experience, because education is not just about study. Traveling also is part of education, because you get to meet people and you understand different ways of doing things, and that is quite important. Now, I'm going to talk about career opportunities. Studying abroad can help someone or a student to build his or boost his career opportunities, because back there at home, every employee believes that an international graduate holds a high esteem in terms to skills and knowledge. And these international students are held at the top priorities of every organization. Even if they don't want to employ you, they will want to call you for an interview and then exploit from you so that they can use your resources to grow. And also you can help you to be able to build your own businesses back at home, be an entrepreneur due to the skills you've acquired. Because today, we don't study to work for people, we study to work for ourselves. Because that's one thing education doesn't teach us. It teaches us how to grow and work for people, earn money, how to increase your pay rates and stuff like that. But it's different. We need to work for ourselves, become an entrepreneur, create something, because the world is growing and everybody is growing too. So we also need to grow. And the third thing I'd like to talk about is the cultural aspect of language. After my studies in Cyprus Institute of Marketing, where I did my bachelor in banking management, it was quite impressive. But cultural aspect was not really that much there, because you're free to do. But here in Romania, it's quite different and challenging too, because like 80% of the population speak Romanian language. Just 30% speak French. And obviously, 20 speak English. So trying to incorporate English with Romanian language becomes a problem to us. But though it's quite challenging, because I always take such things to become an opportunity for me to grab it, understand the language, and move on, because a word in Romanian language might be a whole brand for your life. Because what we try to build in our lives is identity, not you. You try to build your identity. And the identity is what is going to last and not you. So trying to incorporate these two aspects of language and culture can be of great importance to international students, because they'll be able to get some aspect of it or language which they can use back there at home or wherever they go, and also to build up themselves and stand up wherever they are. I definitely believe that studying abroad or student going abroad is better and is one of the best ways to solve your problems, because back there at home, the facilities you have, they are limited. The people you have around you doesn't encourage you. But when you step out of your comfort zone by going internationally, you are forced to push yourself to the wall, to the extreme end, and the end will be success. It doesn't matter whether you succeed or not, but what matters is who you become after studying abroad. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for your thoughts. I guess you explained very convincingly why is it worth studying abroad. And you said that it's very important in terms of experiencing another culture and especially a language, a different language. And I fully agree with that. But if I may ask you, what was the main factor in your making the decision to come to the University of Bucharest in Romania? And what is the faculty which are you in?
My main motivation for coming here is because I want to become an entrepreneur. And becoming an entrepreneur, you need more than just studying or seeing things around. Back there at home, there are so many opportunities. Africa is growing, like I said. Cameroon is also growing. So the faster you act, the better for you, because people are also thinking. So I take the decision to come here and study so that I can improve on my knowledge, on my know-how, so that I can also create a connection between friends and network. Maybe, probably if everything goes on well, I can take them back to Cameroon and we can do business in Cameroon, in Europe, and the world at large. And I'm studying my MBA program in management.
Okay, and are you able to follow Romanian now, a bit? You understand the language?
Yeah, a bit.
Presume you also speak French, right?
Yeah, because
Parle français, oui.
Oui, je parle français.
How do you find Romanian compared to the other language experience that you have? Is it hard to
Romanian
to learn it?
It's not really hard because it's quite similar to French, and like bien, béni, stuff like that. So it's really quite related. So it's not really as hard as compared to other languages. So I love studying Romanian language because it's
So I'm sure that as a future entrepreneur in your country, in Cameroon, you are going to do some business with Romanian firms, I would presume.
That would be
and
for
you
sure.
would be a sort of ambassador of the Romanian culture in your own country, right?
We look forward to that.
Okay, good luck and thank you. We move to the next topic, working and living abroad. We have two interventions here, Enache Alina from Romania and Talayan Bardia from Iran. Alina, Enache, is here? Okay, yes, please.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alina Enache, and I've been to the University of Amsterdam, Amsterdam University of Applied Sciences, last semester. And I want that to be my starting point, meaning that the destination that you choose can influence the way you see your experience and how you see your experience and how. I'm so nervous, I'm sorry. Okay, so coming from Romania and going to a high-income country, which is the Netherlands, is rather tough because they have different expenses and different level of pricing, and that can affect you as a student quite a lot, because I'm not gonna be negative and talk bad about the Erasmus program because it's lovely and it was an amazing experience that changed my life completely. But the grant that we receive is just a boost, it's just a starting point, is not enough to sustain your entire mobility. I was fortunate enough for my parents to support me the entire mobility, but if I didn't have that, I would be in a position where I had to get a job. And I'm gonna talk about the experience that my roommate had with the employers from McDonald's. It's so easy to get a job at McDonald's in Netherlands. You just need the registration and to have a Dutch bank account. However, the location where we were in Amsterdam, we were surrounded by people of color, and at the restaurant that she worked at, she experienced racism, which is not a good experience. And another Romanian man who also worked there experienced the same thing, as in, even if he had the skills and he knew everything and he had the experience, he couldn't become a manager or advance in his work because he was Romanian and because he was white. So working in Amsterdam was tough for some people, and most students that lived in Amsterdam got a job because of the needs that they had. Expenses can reach up to 1,000 euros per month, and that's a fortunate case, as in, for some people, the rent alone is 900 euros. And regarding living and not working, the university helped us a lot, as in they helped us find accommodation, they helped with the formalities, as in registration and all other, all other programs, yeah. And you cannot talk about living abroad without talking about a cultural barrier. And the university again helped us because we were, they put us in touch with ISN Amsterdam, and they helped us get a buddy. They helped us with the introduction week, where they showed us the city and all the insights and all the little secrets that you discover, that you have to discover throughout your mobility. And because of that, because of the ISN Amsterdam and all the programs that the university provided, I didn't feel as a student of Europe, I felt as a student of the world, because I was very surprised to see that I went into my mobility thinking that all the students will be from Europe, and I was very surprised to see that the majority of the students were from Canada or the US or Asia, and that's why I felt a very high sense of inclusion. And that would be my experience. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you for being so honest and open about your experience. It's indeed very disturbing to hear about those racist attitudes.
Yeah.
And actually, I would be willing to find out more, and I'm sure that my colleagues here also would like to hear more about that, especially from the international students here in Bucharest, if they also experienced this kind of racist attitudes on the part of the population in Romania, or even in the university as such. I'd like to hear if the international students had that kind of bad experience. Or if you find that my question is very offensive, then we may pass over that. But, well, listen, I mean, a university should actually strictly enforce those universal values and teach not only the students, but also the grown-ups, the professors, that you cannot make any ethical judgment based on color, on gender, on culture, on religion, and so on and so forth. So I am strongly opposed. I strongly object to all those kinds of attitudes. So if you actually experience such a thing, and maybe you, for some reason you don't want to speak openly about that, just let us know, the leadership of the university, to make some decisions and to take some measures. But please, if someone would like to. So just to make sure, Mrs. or Miss Senachia Alina, when you spoke about that kind of attitude, that actually was the attitude of the majority of the population there, right?
No, it was just the population from work, like from McDonald's. The population, like the Dutch people are very inclusive and they're very open-minded. It was very nice to be able to go to a country where everyone speaks English, like even the old people, which that doesn't happen in Romania. Even the old people in the Netherlands speak English, and very well.
So it was more like a local experience.
It was a local, yeah, exactly. Like our neighborhood was mostly people of color, and we were, I don't know the name of it, like the exception. Yeah.
Okay, Liviu Papadima.
I'm glad that you spoke so open, because I know myself there are two tough experiences in studying abroad. One is experiencing discrimination, which happens. The other is experiencing poverty, which also happens, especially with Erasmus students. We all know that the grants are not enough, and in some specific countries are very little compared to what is required to live a decent life over there. This was a failure somehow of the whole Erasmus program, because it was meant from the very beginning that an European incentive will be given to the universities in less developed countries to be able to build their own networks after the fall of the communist regime and so on. And that they gradually will overtake the costs of the mobility. Because the living standards will grow, they will be equalized all over Europe, which didn't happen, or happened to a much less extent than it was expected. The good news, I heard the presentation about Erasmus celebrating, I think, 25 years of existence a couple of years ago, and there were some facts and figures, as they used to say. Well, more than 10 billion mobilities and about 1 billion newborn children. Official figures.
Okay, any other thoughts on this issue, on this topic? Well, if not, let's hear another intervention on the same general topic, working and living abroad. Mr. Talayan Bardia from Iran.
Oh, this thing goes okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Bardia. I'm from Iran. I came here 12 years ago. I actually have to speak to you about living and working in Romania, but the most important thing I want to share with you is racism. For 12 years ago, I never seen something like this in Romania, and I'm so happy. I'm a little bit nervous. I'm so sorry. Yes, it's a very important thing when you want to live in another country or education or living. I have no any problem with this. I want just tell you welcome to Romania and the University of Bucharest. I was here 3 times, student, and so happy to be here. And thank you for invitation, sir. If you want to ask something.
So since you said that you spent already 2 years in Romania, I presume that after you graduated from here, you remained here and now you are working in Romania, right?
Yeah.
So you graduated from the law school or what?
When I came here in 2007 and I finished my Romanian year, for Romanian language, I finished University of Architecture Ion Mincu. And then after 2 years, I finished my master in Business and Administration in University of Bucharest. And now I'm working architecture and business consulting.
So actually it worked very well for you. I mean, coming here and studying, and then you are making your life here now.
Yeah, actually, I came here just for a trip, just 1 month,
A trip that changed your life.
Yeah, something like that.
It's a very nice, successful
Thank you.
story, yeah. And you still keep in touch with your friends and maybe family in Iran?
Yeah, in here and in Iran too, yeah. Actually, I am here with my brother and my sister, but another, somebody else, I have my family in Iran too.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you too, sir.
Great story and a lot of success in the future.
Thank you so much, sir.
Would you like to comment, to say something? No. There might be some other people who are in the same situation, a good situation as Mr. Bardia. Are there some other people who studied here in Romania or in the University of Bucharest? And, okay, sir, please, and lady, yeah.
Okay, I came here last year for a trip.
Could you tell us your name? And
okay, my name is Camilo Escudero, and I'm from Colombia, but I spent all my life in Belgium. And so last year I came here just for a small trip, 1 week. I found the cheapest flight ever I can find. And yeah, I came and I spent a very good time. And I don't know, I fall in love with the city. And so last year I finished my bachelor degree in e-business in Brussels. And then I wanted to do my master degree somewhere not in Belgium to change, because I'm addicted to change, because I made an Erasmus in Antwerp. I made international week, one in New York, one in Italy. And so I wanted to change, and so I decided to come here. I was in the doubt to come here or Bulgaria, but I don't know, I wanted a country where it's not French speaker and not Spanish speaker, just to improve my English and maybe to learn another language and be out of my comfort zone, because when I'm out of my comfort zone, I can make a lot of amazing things, like, I don't know, like make a business, very easy business, because sometimes when you are in your comfort zone, the opportunities can be in front of you, but you don't see it. But when you change, you find a lot of opportunities. You can make a lot of things. And yeah, that's why I came here. Now I'm making my MBA in the Faculty of Philosophy. I don't know why it's the Faculty of Philosophy, but okay.
I would have bet on that. I mean, your reflections are so philosophical. I may quote you in the future, because that's like a motto of our life, addicted to change. Yeah, that's a wonderful phrase that you coined here, to be addicted to change, and how embracing something which is unexpected and new could not only change your life, but could help you seize some opportunities that otherwise, if you live in your comfort zone, you don't actually see them. So you are a student in my faculty, I guess, right? Because I'm teaching in the Faculty of Philosophy. You mentioned an MBA in the Faculty of Philosophy.
Yes.
That MBA in Cultural Studies, right?
Yes, that one. And yeah, and I think that it's a good program, because we have, in the same time, we have time to launch some project, because every homework that we have to do, it's we can use that homework to work more in our project, in our personal projects. So yes, yeah, that's why I came here, and I'm just living something completely different. When I came here the first week, I get a little bit scam for the accommodation. I was paying too much.
That happens to Romanians as well, so don't feel too frustrated about that. It was not about you in person.
Yeah. And yeah, no, it was a room for 300 euros. I think it's too much. And no, for the same price, I have an apartment. So, and yeah, I think yes, we should change. We should. When you change, it's easier to make networking too. For example, here it's easy for me to be chilling with lawyers, with interesting people, entrepreneurs. For example, in Belgium, I'm always meet the same people, with the same people who are in the same level, and when I came here, I can change my level of the people.
Okay, great. So Liviu Papadima wanted to say something.
First of all, I wanted to tell you that I envy you as a professor of the Faculty of Philosophy. I'm a professor at the Faculty of Letters. I would have been glad to have such international students. It was a marvelous message you gave to your colleagues, because we encounter all the time in life many hindrances. How can we turn them into opportunities? Yeah, change our perspective in thinking about them. Well, what am I doing now? I'm trying to get out of my comfort zone. And that can help. That can be good to discover myself. That can be good to know what I really can, and so on and so forth. A marvelous message, because it would help plenty of people when being in need, so to say. Quite often we are in need, or we think we are in need, when we get out of our control area and out of our comfort zone. And we should do that quite often. Thanks a lot.
Okay, is there something else that you wanted to add, sir? Or you finished your...
No, not really. Just I just want to say to the people, if you can move on another place, don't think about girlfriends, don't think about people, family, just move. You're going to find amazing things.
Yeah, that's okay in principle, but well, in my case, that's very hard to do it. Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
With age, it becomes harder and harder.
But I actually enjoyed very much your punchline about, addicted to change. And actually that made me think about that kind of joke about the attitude. But it's not actually a joke, it's a real thing. When you look at a glass, and depending on your attitude, you are going to say that half of the glass is empty or half of the glass is full. Actually, the right attitude is to say that the glass is refillable. You can fill it again. And that actually is like a position in which both sides are taken care, you know. It was another hand that I saw. I mean, some other, two hands. The lady here first, and then the gentleman,
Hello, hi, my name is Svetlana Khachatryan. I am from Armenia. I came here 1 year before, and I have the topic to speak about after, about how do you manage with the cultural shock and also linguistic barrier. Everything starts when the person is like getting out from the comfort zone. Yes, it is. When the person is making the decision to leave the family and also the things that surround them, the work and so on, to get up, just leave the country and faced with the problems that is like normal for all of the world. I came here to do a master degree at an art history and cultural philosophy again. And I have 2 classes in the philosophy course. Everything is really good. There is like kind of difficulties because there is a linguistic barrier. I'm like studying in a Romanian language.
Already studying Romanian? You know the language?
Yeah, I'm studying
That's
in a
amazing.
Romanian language, and it's really hard.
I can imagine.
Imagine to understand the philosophy with the language that you speak only 6 months.
Yeah,
it's cool. Actually, I love my professors so much that they are understanding every single thing. I'm thankful for Ioana Barbo that makes so many efforts about the international students to show them everything and to be as close as she is. I were trying to make the comparison between the things that I were doing and what I'm doing now. This is about the culture. Exactly. I am an art historian and I have to make a comparison between the cultures at first. I didn't stand in front of the cultural shock here because it's quite okay to be in a country that belongs to the European part and understand that it's carrying all the periods of the art. That's why it was like comfort zone of me. I never tried to make a differences between the people. They were so open-minded, open to me, because I were a stranger who were speaking English, and they were so glad to help me in every single time when I were making mistakes in speech in Romanian. I was working here part-time, and I was making my linguistic barrier part in this situation. I was speaking with the people, Romanians, that were so glad that I am the person who tried to speak in their language. So I'm making the step to enter to the community, and they are making the step to understand me. I love very much this position of the people who were not trying to make a differences between the people who are living, the students, and the people who are not. Exactly, we are Armenians 100 years already. We celebrate 100 years of our community in Romania. I've been in a National Museum of Romania, and we're celebrating this day maybe 5 months ago. And 100 years before, when the people came here, they made a church, Armenian, make many things about the Armenians. So I am feeling quite comfortable being here. I never tried to get out from the country. I love to be here, to stand with other people, to meet cultural exchange that comes from. I've been in anul pregătitor course where the people were meeting and reproducing their culture, presentations with presentation. That's why I know why Nigerians are speaking in French, and also they have the cultural specific way to express the things. That's why I speak also in Romanian, and I'm glad too that my class is in Romanian. I get one language in a class, so I have many things in classes, actually. To speaking about the linguistic barrier, it is another field of research. Why? Because I know also Russian and also English, a little Spanish and Armenian. And when I was studying the Romanian language, I was making research in my brain about language, about being Slavic and also Latin language. There are a lot of words from Turkey, from Dacian part, and also from Latin. So every time when I try to speak something or to tell it in Romanian, I'm using the English one or Russian, in any cases. I want to mention also the part of the culture. I'm so glad that Romania, it's take from the culture of the world, from the European part, those basic things that have to be in the architecture, also art, contemporary art, and sculpture. I am glad for being here and understand about the people who wants to help me with my programs. It is about the architecture and also Ottoman period silver myths. I know that the history passed here too, so we can make a comparison and create something new. Thank you.
Thank you. A great message that you sent us here. Mm-hmm. And so you don't find it very difficult to learn Romanian. After all, after you actually speak 5 languages, you said, right?
Yes,
you understand 5 languages.
Yeah, it is kind of thing when you are using like 2 languages in a normal life, like English and Russian, most of all. It is really difficult to the new language that is like one part is like to another and the other one is to other. This is the question. So we're trying to mix these 2 and to create another one to speak.
Okay, good, great. And the gentleman, the same part of the room? Yeah.
Just one question. Have you also met the Armenians here in Bucharest?
Yes, of course. Every single Sunday when we are getting to the church, we are getting together and we are speaking about not only political we're doing not only political debates, we are speaking about Romania and also the opportunities that we can have here.
Yeah, indeed, it's a very strong Armenian community in Romania and in Bucharest, for that matter. And we have some colleagues. There is one that I know in the Department of Mathematics who is originally Armenian. Mm-hmm. Yes, okay. So, next, the gentleman.
Hello, everyone. My name is Maximilian Bayer. I am originally from Germany. I wouldn't consider myself a typical German. I only lived basically 5 years of my life there. I'm 20 years old. When I was 3 years old, I moved with my parents, with my family to Russia, to Moscow, and studied at the German school in Moscow for 10 years. Moved back to Germany and then studied abroad alone for 2 years in the US. I want to connect with what you two said, first of all, about the comfort zone, which is quite a big deal in this conversation, in those discussions right now. Getting out the comfort zone, you realize who you really are. I think in those 2 years when I was in America, I learned so much about myself, and not just about myself, but about other culture and about another language. I never experienced such a thing. I came back the first year to Germany over summer break, and all my friends and my family, they didn't see me, or like they didn't, they told me that I changed a lot. They didn't say I changed completely as a person, but my personality. And I think to connect to what he said, if you have the opportunity to go to another country, I always tell that everyone who's uncertain if he or she should go to another country, I always say yes. Why? Because if you go to another country and you talk to the people living there, to other people, you get out of your comfort zone, you push yourself. Maybe a good example is I had to go to the Romanian educational, I had to get an original document here to study at the university. I'm in my preparatory year now. I'm studying Romanian language now for 4 weeks. So I went to this place and no one was speaking English there at the registry. And I needed to get this document really quickly. And I was there by myself with no Romanian skills whatsoever. And suddenly a woman walks by and I ask her, do you speak English? And she said, yes, I do. And she was actually on the phone, and she stopped being on the phone just to help me get my document, which was really impressive. Since I'm here in Romania and in Bucharest, I really love it here. I would have never thought I would come to such a country. But since my family is here now, I'm here with my family, my dad, my mother, and my sister. Since I'm here, I just met nice people. And even if they didn't speak English, they always tried to help me somehow if I needed to go somewhere. Or, or if I had a question, they always tried with hands and feet and face gestures, they always tried to help me. And I really much appreciate it. I've never really seen anything like that before. And yeah, I'm really glad I'm here. And yeah. Yes.
Oh, nice to hear that from someone who just got here. So you are in the preparatory classes now, right?
Yes,
and
sir.
After you graduate, what are your plans?
Well, I want to go either into international business and management or international relations. Right now, with my preparatory year and meeting so many new cultures, I'm tending more to the international relations. My goal in life is to visit every country at least once. It's ambitious, but I think I can do it, and learn about all the different cultures on this planet. And so that's why probably international relations is the way to go.
Yeah, that's a good option, good choice. There is a small program in international relations at the Faculty of History in this university, and there is also a program at the National School for Administration and and political science with the acronym CNSPA. That's in Bucharest here. I mean, you can choose. Yeah, so actually what impressed you a lot was the fact that people who didn't know you at all and wanted very much to help you, even if they couldn't speak your language, English or...
Yeah, here at the university, at the International Relations Office, I received so much help already. And just going out on the street, honestly, when I first came here, we moved into our apartment, and I did not leave the apartment for probably 3 weeks. Not at all, not once. Maybe once to go downstairs to get the mail. But I was so uncomfortable not speaking the language. I hate that. That's why I hate not speaking a language and being in another country and not being able to communicate with other people. So that's why I was so impressed. This woman in this, at this place, she was on the phone speaking Romanian, and she stopped that just to help me get to the right place. And that was what really impressed me. And since then, I looked on the streets whenever I was going to class or from class or just going to the bakery or something. I always see honest, nice people try to help one another. And it's really, really great to see. Because in Germany right now, it's unfortunately not the way that it should be. So, yeah.
Yeah. Any comments from here or from you? If you want to share your own experience, if you also were so lucky to get and to meet nice people in the street. It could be that, yeah, that's something that we, the natives, do not realize too often because we don't have that kind of problem. But you actually could experience that just because you needed help and someone was very helpful to you. And yeah, yes, yes.
Yeah, sorry, I wanted to add that I once was driving.
You are...
I'm from Spain.
From Spain.
Yeah. So I was driving and the light went red and then I couldn't start the car because it was upwards. And a taxi driver stopped and helped me after a few minutes of trying to get the car started and just going down. So he saw me, stopped and helped me, and that was so nice. You know, everybody here is like taxi drivers are not nice and not good people, but that is like the point in which I started thinking that they're great. So, yeah, I've had good experiences.
Yeah,
with
happy to hear that as well. You might have been so lucky to meet the only nice taxi driver in Bucharest.
No, so I'm sure there's more of them. Yeah.
Well, I drive my own car every day from home to the office and back home, and well, not all the drivers in Bucharest are so nice, including me. Yes, Mr. Comănescu?
Yes, I've listened very carefully what our young friend said about being helped in Romania. You know, we were once well known for great moral quality, which in Romanian it is called omenie, which means practically and basically what you saw. Someone who is not knowing you, but it's helping you and it's well treating you just because you are a human being in their land. Well, I thought this moral value was perishing, but I see that it still resists. You gave me hope. Thank you. It's well to learn how others see you. That's why I wanted to say these words to you. And, well, you know, you'll experience also some other situations. But never forget what you said in this afternoon.
Yeah, it was another intervention here. Someone wanted to make an intervention on this. I mean, the young lady over there. There were two hands raised by the lady in Spain and No? Okay. Okay, yeah. Yeah, sure. Yeah, please just step into discussion, yeah.
Okay. First of all, I would like to give credit to the Romanian people because they are very welcoming. To be honest, when I first arrived here, I was finding it quite difficult because I knew absolutely nobody from the airport to my apartment, no apartment. I need to book into a hotel. And I took a cab to the hotel where I met a man, and I was not having money with me, I was having to pay dollars. He actually paid for my hotel for the night. That was about 95 lei because the hotel wasn't accepting dollar. Wow, I was really, really impressed. And the next day I moved to school, not knowing actually my faculty, where to go to, with my bags, luggages, foodstuff, stuff. It was too much. And I met these two amazing guys at the university. They helped me a lot. They carried my bags for like 4 hours, moving from one department to the other. They sustained their program for 4 hours just to help me out. And that was amazing. I've never seen anything like that. But I know one thing for sure, is that nothing comes if you don't give it back. Because I, for one, I always try to help people, no matter how it is. Even if I can't, but I should link you to somebody who can help you. And definitely you shouldn't expect something less in return. So I really, really appreciate it. Even when I was in Nigeria too, I had the same experience. An old woman helped me on the road in the middle of the night when I was stopped. So she really helped me, and I'm happy traveling and then meeting people, getting helping hand. It teaches me a lot. It gives me a lot of insight on how I can go far in helping other people who need my help, even if it means letting my program or giving up my schedule for the day to do that. Thank you.
Yes, yeah. Liviu Papadima?
Yeah, I don't know whether this is a stereotype or not. Well, regarding the attitude towards foreigners and strangers. But I have the impression that here Romanian people are rather welcoming. I associate that with a peculiarity regarding the Easter service in the Orthodox Church. You might find it strange to make such a connection. It's the most important service in Orthodox Church all over the year. And there is a part in that in which the priest asks the others to pray for the people in need, for people, sick people, for poor people, and for people traveling on earth and what. Yeah? We still perceive the passing by stranger as people in need. And this is very beautiful. It's somehow traditional attitude. Yeah? The stranger who comes and stays, well, that's dangerous. We don't like that. That's xenophobia. But the stranger coming by, they need to be helped because they are people in need. It's some part of this this attitude very positive towards and helpful towards people who don't speak Romanian, who don't know, who have no orientation, and so on and so forth. Anybody comes and says, well, may I help you? Thanks a lot.
Yes, indeed. So are there some other people on my list, on our list here, who didn't speak? Yeah, please.
But I think that people here in Romania, they are very friendly with the foreigner because most of the Romanian people has some experience as an immigrant in another country. And they're very friendly because here there are not a lot of foreigners. For example, if you go to Brussels, to London, and you say, I'm Romanian, nobody cares. They will say, okay, you're just one plus in the, in the people who are there. And so I think that's why. But I think if in the future there are going to be more and more foreigners, the people don't care about the foreigners. So that's something.
That's true, unfortunately.
Well, I want to tell you that, as I have already said, this attitude and moral value is very old in Romania. It's practically centuries attested. At that time, we were not traveling much in Europe. But here in Romania, there was this openness, this kindness, this desire to help any stranger who is passing by. Yes, maybe as Livia already said, if the stranger, the foreigner wanted to settle, there could be problems. But if he was traveling, if he was passing by, if he was visiting or going to some other place, he or she would always find somebody to help. Naturally, because this was a Romanian kind of acting. And as I told you, this attitude has a name. It's called Omenia, comes from human, from home. A way of being human. This is a translation of the word Omenia. So I think the situation is perhaps more complex and perhaps requires a debate. Why not? I haven't debated for years about a Romanian value. So old and so interesting.
Just one short comment about what you have said. Yeah, they used to be even much more friendly and welcoming, not towards foreigners, because there have been no foreigners in the 80s here, but towards strangers. When we were your age, used to travel throughout the country by hitchhiking. Nobody would ask you for 1 penny for that. And I once went with my girlfriend, I was a student, and we stopped in a village just because we liked the name of the village. When we went to the first gate, and we asked them, can you let us in? And they sheltered us for 5 days, giving us all their best food, drinks, and so on and so forth, because we were the first guest ever who passed their threshold.
Any other input to this discussion? So I was listening to what Mr. Comunescu said. As a matter of fact, so I've told you that I teach philosophy in this university. This August, a huge congress took place, congress organized by the International Association of Philosophy organizations all over the world. 7,000 people gathered in Beijing, in China, and the topic of the congress has been learning to become a human being. So if you think, I mean, we belong to the human species. We all belong to the human species. And I have some strong reasons, theoretic reasons, not to accept the concept of race as being a scientific and operational concept. I mean, I would go for many hours now to explain and to defend the view that actually speaking in terms of races is quite unacceptable, I mean, scientifically speaking. We can speak in terms of cultures, of national identities, of histories, of narratives, whatever, but not in terms of races. Moreover, I don't think that we can make sound ethical judgments and decisions based on something which is so superficial and contingent as the shape of the face or of the eyes, the color of the skin, or whatever. So there is this fact, this biological fact, and also social and historical fact that we belong to this species, to the only race, which is the human race. But on the other hand, we have to learn to become humans. It's something that is not a given. It's not a given fact. It's not something a priori. We have to learn to do that. And how we learn to do that? Well, we learn to do that, to become human beings through being socialized since our infancy. And the education institutions are very important. The families to begin with, but then the school. The education is very important. And if you look at how the moral progress occurred, and especially in the 20th century, because I really believe that in the last 50 years or so, we, as a human race, as a human species, made a lot of moral progress. What is very important when we speak about that, we incorporate into our own community the ones who previously were not perceived as belonging to our community. So just at the end of the 19th century, a huge political struggle was on whether or not the women could vote, could have political rights. And gradually and eventually we realized that women should be actually part of this community of people who have political rights. Now about people coming from some other parts of the world, I mean people who are from different continents or countries, again, we have to emphasize this universal dimension, which is being a human being, being an individual, a human person. And what's next? Well, look at the literature. Some of you are students in the MA programs in the humanities, and on the literature you'll see now, for instance, debates about the rights of non-human animals. Okay? So people are speaking very seriously now about we have to treat the non-human animals in a humane way. And that started in 1970s or so with some very influential papers written by some ethicists and philosophers as biologists about the rights of the animals. Maybe in the future, while the artificial intelligence will develop and become more and more important for our personal lives, our gadgets will be so attached to us that the future generations, maybe the generations of your grandsons and granddaughters, we are going to talk about the rights of the artifacts, of the computers. Why not? They will be part of our ethical community. So what's very nice is that we actually live through a sort of ethical project. And this is a never-ending project. And what actually most of you said, just sharing your experience, is that you have been perceived here as being individuals, human beings with full rights and entitled to nice attitudes from the part of the local people. But I wouldn't be so, I don't know, optimistic and just say that everything is nice and easy. And my own experience, not only as a professor here, but also as a member of this society, is that most times people actually are acting on different levels in the following sense. If I have a direct experience with an individual, I can judge his or her actions or deeds based on what I see, I perceive. And I don't make that judgment based on any other superficial characteristic of that fellow. And in that capacity, having racist feelings is something quite irrational. But many people, even here in this country, and now I was told here that in some other countries, like in Germany, they said, or in Belgium, people are also making all sorts of ideological judgments which are not based on some direct experience. This morning I read something very disturbing for me as a professor. Poll, statistics done by some sociologists at the University Babeș-Bolyai in Cluj, a representative poll with professors, some 2,000 professors in Romania, well, not in higher education, most of them, in primary school and secondary school, but that's very important, as you'll see, declared 45% of them that they would opt for segregation in schools. And they would choose for having Roma children separated from Romanian children. They also said, roughly 35% or 40%, that they are not easy with living next to people belonging to the LGBTQ community. they also said many other things that actually show that those feelings are still very much entrenched. I don't want to debate the omenia aspect, because that's also part of our culture. Yeah, the peasant culture of Romanians, which is actually very important. But we shouldn't actually sleep on that. We have to be very aware, and actually this is one of the major educational tasks that universities should have, and especially with programs in which we have international students. Because there are lessons that, and speaking about the comfort zone, we have to be prepared to be amazed of the fact that people who are very, very nice could now and then have some very bad attitudes.
I should add that you are very right, Professor, because we have a problem with Roma issues, which is also very old, maybe as old as Romania. So we have both sides of the story. The problems with Roma perception, and the figures given by Professor Mircea Dumitru are very true and are not new. They repeat year after year. But also that Romania side is very real too. So make a judgment. Who can judge? We must understand, we must try to change, we must try to improve, and this must start with us. We are the first object of our improvement, effort.
Yeah, I guess the idea when you discuss with people coming from some other countries or cultures is this fact that we all should learn from each other. A Romanian important philosopher in the end of the 20th century, some of you may be familiar with his name or his work, Constantin Noica, used to say this. I mean, he was quoting a French writer from the 19th century, that the ideal school is that school in which you never know who is teaching whom and who is learning from whom. So you shouldn't actually think a school just in terms of this unique direction from teachers to students. In a very good school, also the teachers have something to learn from their students, if they are open enough and they care for their job and for their mission. And what I found disturbing in that sociological poll was the fact that those people were professors in primary school and secondary school. So the people who are in charge and paid by the Romanian state to educate the future generation. And it would be very unfortunate to pass over the future generation the same stereotypes that my generation lived with. So actually you have to fight against those stereotypes and to be aware that we still have a long mission ahead of us. But let's not be pessimistic. Let's try to learn something good from the discussion that we had this afternoon. Well, I only wanted to be very frank and very honest about some issues and not let our international students this superficial impression that we do not care for all the dimensions of this very, very important fact, which is that in the contemporary culture, we actually, it's very easy now, it's much easier to live together, to travel very fast, to move from New York City to Bucharest and then back to Moscow and so on and so forth. That's part of the human condition today. And to learn to be addicted to the change. Because I like very much this phrase that the colleague from, you mentioned Colombia, right? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, if you want to add something, or if there are some other things, because now since the people on the list already made the presentations, we may open the discussion, the floor for other interventions. Okay.
I also had a small presentation, so most of it, I was supposed to talk about culture.
Your name is?
Diana, from Romania.
Nicoița Diana. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Sorry.
So most of the things that I wanted to talk about, so cultural shock and linguistic barrier, have been already said, and most of them are really known. What I wanted to add actually is a bit off topic about the comfort zone. So we all feel this kind of getting out of the comfort zone while we go to other places, we visit, we meet new people. But I wanted to remind you that the comfort zone, I mean, you decide which one is comfort zone and which one is not. So you can be out of your comfort zone also in your own place, and you can also be in comfort zone in Erasmus experiences or in any other kind of challenging experiences. Because if you go in Erasmus, and for example, I spent 6 months there, so after 4 months I actually felt as if I was home. So I had to, keep reminding myself that I'm there for meeting people, for learning the language, for finding new things, because it was easier. I already knew how to go to the doctor, how the university worked and everything. So that on one side. And when I came back to Romania, because a lot of my friends who are in Erasmus told me about this thing, post-Erasmus depression, which is like when you feel you came home, nothing is fun anymore, and so on and so forth. But actually, I'm trying, and I encourage or Erasmus or people who are traveling to remember that you have to take those stuff that you learned in your experiences abroad and bring them back with you and actually improve your life, because that's what it's about. It's not about going to another place and having fun there and then going to another place and having fun. It's about learning things so you as a person become better. Okay, that would be it.
Thank you all. Now, since the floor is open for everyone, please, just step into the discussion freely.
Myself or him?
Yeah, please,
I also had a presentation about the cultural shock and surpassing the linguistic barrier. But since this is a debate and it's an open speech, I'd like all of you to participate in it. I know there are some people here who are about to live with an Erasmus scholarship, or who are about to go abroad, or who are going to leave home. So I'd like to know if they have any questions about it. Also, take everything I say with a grain of salt. I can only speak from my perspective. So I'd really like to know if you have any curiosities, or whether you'd like to know a certain thing specifically.
Yes, please, then
hello.
over there. So the gentleman and then the lady over there,
My name is Okore Oganefijiro Leo. I'm from Nigeria. I'm studying behavioral economics in my master's studies. And I was supposed to talk on cultural shock and barriers in language. So I'll be talking strictly from my own experience. And cultural shock, I know some of us here are new to Romania, and some of us have been here for quite some time. And from my own experience, I think cultural shock is, it has different stages. And the first stage is the stage where you have this excitement, the ecstasy, seeing everything that is new, different from what you're used to, and you feel like, wow, this place looks very good. And that stage does not last forever, and when it wears off, you begin to feel the cultural differences, and it's very apparent. A lot of us have spoken so well about our experiences here. I for one, am not an exception. I've had quite a good experience in Romania. My first day in Romania, I can remember, I was trying to buy skate boots, and I met these two students. It was during summer. I met these two students who volunteered to show me around and take me to the mall where I can get the skate boots. They actually bought the tickets with their own money. And for me, it was a good impression that I had for Romania. But as time progresses, that feeling of ecstasy begins to wear off. and I begin to see the differences, because I am from a place with a total culture, difference in culture. We don't have the same culture in any way close to the ones you have here in Romania. And I began to see how people react to different things. I began to see different interpretations to body language and the rest of it all. And also, for me, it was very difficult to adapt. So I made a little research about the culture here in Romania. And I came to understand that Romania is a friendly place. You have a history of, you have a lot of history that has to do with fighting for your own rights. And that has made you to create a kind of culture that is welcoming. But not only that, I also came to understand that there are external influences to your own culture. That is, you have the moral standard to welcoming strangers, but you also have external influences, especially on the youngsters, Romanian, the teenage, the young people from Romania. They have these external influences on their character, so they tend to judge, some of them, not all of them, very small percentage of the youngsters, tend to judge people based on their appearance, based on what they have seen on the internet, or on the media, and I found that very disturbing. And also in my former school in Constanta, I studied in the Maritime University of Constanta, and I talked with the Students' Union on how to eradicate and deal with this kind of feelings, this kind of mindset towards foreigners and strangers. So how did I overcome these cultural differences? I am someone who is social. I'm social. I meet people. I talk with people, and what helped me was I kept an open mind. I was accepting. I did not judge people from my own cultural perspective. I tend to have patience and to know why people act in certain ways and speak in certain ways. And it helped me a lot. Some things I thought of as being racist were not actually racist when I found out why they were doing it. And I came to understand more about why people act in certain ways. So I made some efforts to learn the language, the Romanian language, because in my school we were taught entirely in English. And it was very difficult for me to go around and talk with people and make friends, because in Constanta, you don't have the majority of people speaking in English, speaking English language in Constanta. A lot of them speak just Romania. And if you would approach someone and ask them for directions or other things, if you don't understand the language and if you don't speak the language, it might be a little bit difficult for you to get what you want. So I learned the language, not very perfectly. I learned by myself. I literally went on Facebook and added random Romanians, and I told them that, please, we are going to, we should speak strictly in your language, not in English. So I used the translator to improve my language. So I've been able to understand some basic Romanian, and I can go around. And I also have been able to understand that people act differently depending on where you are in Romania. I traveled to different cities and different towns in Romania, and I found that I love more, I like the Transylvania part of Romania more, because people are more open and welcoming, and they tend to treat you like you belong, even if they don't know you. So I've been to Cluj and Oradea, Timișoara. I think from that part of the country, I felt the vibe more. And if I have money, I said I would buy a house in Cluj or in Timișoara because I love the region. And also, in order to get out of this cultural shock, you should also learn how to talk to people. You should not be shy. Don't keep to yourself. Don't maintain an enclosed space. Try to talk to people. I know sometimes it might be very hard to get along with people because in this city, people tend to be always busy. So if you don't be afraid to stop someone because they are always willing to help you. That is what I've learned from this city. And also, you should try as much as possible not to be very serious. Try to smile sometimes and try to laugh because it will help you to release the stress. And also, people would see that you are a friendly person. You have a friendly personality. And also, something I would want to talk about the language. The reason why you should learn the language is for certain reasons. And most of the reasons are you should learn the language so that you can gain some amount of trust from the locals, from the native. Because if you speak with them in their own language, they tend to see you as one of them. That is what I've been able to understand. So even if my skills are not very perfect, I try as much as possible to even speak. Sometimes I make blunder, and sometimes they correct me, and that is what I've been able to. That is what have been helping me through the almost 4 years here in Romania. And one thing for sure, finally, don't just come to conclusion that you've known it all. Even if you know the language, you know the custom, you are savvy, you are a guru when it comes to traditions and culture, don't think you know it all. Because from my own understanding, culture is like an onion bulb. You don't have to peel everything at the same time. You have to peel it layer by layer. And by so doing, I think it's going to help you to fit in, and hopefully you would gain favor from Romanians. Romanians are very generous if you come close to them, but from afar, if you would judge them from afar. Some of them might not give you the impression of what you think Romania is. And finally, I would say, like I said before, talk a lot with people, make friends with your colleagues who are from other countries and the locals, because they know the country, they know their culture, and they would be willing to help you understand the culture. And don't keep to yourself. Don't hide inside your room. Don't hide inside your dormitory, because the present strangers you have, those whom you refer to as strangers, are going to be your future colleagues, your future neighbors, your future employers. And so try to cultivate the habit of talking, speaking, socializing. Involve yourself in social activities in school. No matter how shy you are, there is someone who would be willing to talk to you. And also make friends with those whom you feel have same cultural shock, people from other countries. So you know you are not alone. You are not feeling this alone. So having these people close to you would help you to thrive in the environment you find yourself. And also, if you are someone who is very religious or you have religious activities, you should also involve yourself in such activities, because then you would meet the locals who are from Romania in their activities, and you can also ask the questions which are not very clear to you. Thank you very much for listening, and God bless.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Very, very nice presentation. And you've got a lot from the Romanian culture, it seems. So thank you.
Yeah, I also like the food, first of all.
Yeah.
That was a major cultural shock. I love sarmale.
No one mentioned that so far, yeah. I saw another hand over there. So a lady wanted to say something?
Yeah, hi. My name is Ioana, and I'm going to study in Germany next semester. During this conference, I heard a lot of good things about Erasmus and the students' experience, but I'm very sure behind these good and life-changing experiences are also more things to say. And I would have a question for the students that went to other countries, because I'm very delighted that the people who came in Romania really enjoyed their time here. But as for the Romanian students who left in other countries, I would really like to know the difficulties you faced with, and you know, the stories that are left behind and, well, not hidden, but they're not told. So if you'd be kind enough to give me some advice, because I'm really kind of nervous for the next semester that I'll spend there. So yeah, I'm gonna listen.
Yes, please.
I think I can answer you on that one. I've not been in Germany, but I've been in France for a semester. And what you need to do, first of all, is not to be afraid. Don't be nervous about it. Fear doesn't give you any other option than being afraid and just crawling inside of yourself. So just be open about things and go there and be open-minded. And also, if you don't understand something, a certain custom, a certain thing somebody is doing, or a certain word, even, yes, it is applied to language as well, just be straightforward and ask them. Ask them directly, because they will answer. I would like to tie it a bit, this thing, with something that the other colleagues said about being kind to people and helping out. I mean, from my experience there, the people there helped me, but they had a cold manner of doing so. Basically, you are welcome, they know you're a foreigner, all right, you're part of the community, but you're not as easily accepted. For me, for example, it took a long time to be accepted or be regarded as friendly or friend by some of them. So expect that as well. Expect this level. They'll be very polite to you. They'll answer your questions, but expect a certain level of detachment. They might not be so willing to bond to you. Right here in Romania, we're actually warmer towards people and warmer towards foreigners and towards foreign students, exchange students. Also, make sure you pay attention to the customs of the country. In France, for instance, they have a break. They have a lunch break that lasts from 6 p.m. or 7 p.m., 5 p.m. in some cases. So if you have some administrative business to do, some papers to complete, some papers to sign, make sure you choose a certain period of time where you can do so, when that institution is not closed up, or basically try to follow up their schedule. Also, about the cultural shock, what you should expect in Germany is expenses. It's an expensive country. France is an expensive country, and if you allow me to put it this way, the farther to the west you go in Europe, the more expensive it gets. So basically, you will find out that the Erasmus grant might not be enough for your general expenses, and you might need another source for it, your parents or a job. But you can live quite properly with that. The dorms are really nice. They have very good conditions. At least in my case, they were good conditions, and try to apply for one. Also, even if you apply for the dorm, try finding another place to rent, for example, an apartment to rent in town or something like that, because there might not be places in the dorms anymore. They usually occupy the dorm rooms very quickly. Also, the professors are probably going to act very professional, and even if they have some personal thing towards Romanian, they're probably going to put it aside because they are your professors and they need to assign you and teach you different things. Be careful with the courses, that I can say, and with the course choices. In France, for instance, we got to choose our courses, and as an Erasmus, I had this wonderful advantage of choosing whatever course I wanted from whatever profile. It didn't matter if it was license or master, I could choose either, which I actually did, and it is very good for you. It's good to be adventurous in this, so try new things, try to adapt to them. What you need to know is that you'll be fully responsible for your schedule. They don't give you a timetable. In France, they didn't give us a timetable from the university. You had to choose your courses and you had options. For instance, it's Monday from 10 to 12. It's Tuesday from 11 to 13, to 1 p.m. And you have to decide when you want that course to be and with which group of students. Bonding might prove a bit, to me, bonding with people was a bit hard than making friends because I basically saw that group of people for that certain course once a week. And it's a bit harder to actually bond to them and tie up to them and create friendships and find a second family. Also, are you going on your own there, or are you going with a colleague, or... that's cool. I've been on my own in France as well, so expect to carry a lot of luggage on your own. Also, make sure you find out about means of transport, how you travel from place to place and how you go from place to place, and where you need to be first, to go first, for instance, if you need to assign yourself for the dorm, who you need to speak to, if you need to go some other place at the center where they need to register you, where is that center and how you get there. And also be careful about shops, because in France, for instance, they have this law that forbids supermarkets to be placed in town. So basically you find small shops or small versions of those supermarkets, but they're usually far off. I, for instance, had to travel like 10 tramway stations to get to the closest, at least 5 tramway stations to get to the closest. Also, try to benefit from the libraries. They have amazing databases, and you find a lot of things on subjects that weren't even treated here in Romania, which might actually give you ideas for what you want to do in the future or for further studies. And it's also great, really, really great to just go and read them and get interested in things. And by the way, if you show interest in something, especially for the language, let's say, people are going to open up to you. It shows that you are interested, that you want to know, and that you don't want to make a mistake. You really are respectful towards their culture and towards themselves. So they'll basically be more open to you. They'll open up to you. They'll help you much, much more easier. They'll help you easier. They will even smile more at you, which is amazing, honestly. But you have to constantly show interest in what you're doing and love for what you're doing. Basically, as we're doing here at home.
Thank you very much for all those practical advice and tips. That's very important, especially for the Romanian students who want to travel abroad as Erasmus students. So before we end this wonderful meeting and conversation, let me thank again Liviu Papadima, Radu Comănescu, Bogdan Stoica, and indeed all of you, because you were the main actors of this evening. Thank you, and let me also make a public announcement for the international students who are studying now at this university, at the University of Bucharest. The official opening, the official ceremony will take place next Tuesday at noon in Aula Magna here at the Faculty of Law. So Tuesday at noon, all of you are invited to be part into this opening ceremony for the international programs at the University of Bucharest. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your stay in Romania, the international students.